tell you guys about another healing session that I had last week sometime. So what I do is I merge in with the person. I put myself in their shoes. I become them so I can feel what's going on in the energy body. Kind of like an IT tech or a Maytag repairman. And we go in with the preface of like cleaning you off and like figuring out your circuitry and like putting things in order. And basically I have a lot of the manuals memorized is the best way to put it. So I know the phrases to say for the things that are happening and to feel around and be like, here, let's try this, blah, 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 blah. And then the things happen. So I was working with Jennifer, and when I was merged in with her, I kept getting this like intense pain through my head and through my body. She did as well. We're trying to figure out what the fuck this is. And I was like, okay, I'm getting this. I was like, do you know about restaurant, like big, like restaurant stuff in the back, like the industry or industrial size things? And she's like, yeah, I mean, like, I get the concept of it. And there's a lot of it that I know that I don't, for whatever reason. I was like, okay, you know those giant like can openers where it stabs, like there's a handle it goes through, like it links to the table with this big giant like stabby thing, but you lift it up, you put a gallon-sized can in, and then you just stab it down, and then you crank the can open. And she's like, okay. And I was like, pretty much that's what's in your head. I didn't get the can opening part, just that part. So I was like, okay, what I want you to do, because I'd rather help someone remember how to do this themselves instead of me doing it for them, because it's more empowering. So had her put herself in front of herself. And then I was like, okay, so now you're going to like lift that handle that locks that thing into your head, lift that handle up. And we both just kind of were standing there like this. Or like this. And I was like, that's weird. My hand's up in the air and I'm frozen. She's like, mine too. My hand's up in the air and I'm like frozen. And I was like, huh. And I was like, fucking Statue of Liberty because of all the pain in the head and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is going to sound fucking crazy. But can you see if you can merge in with the Statue of Liberty? Because you can only merge in with things that you are a part of. If you are able to merge in, it's confirmation. If not, it's like, okay, well, that wasn't it. Let's throw something else out there. But since some of my biggest clairs are like whatever, the knowing and the feeling, I'm like, okay, I'm getting the analogy of that. That's Jennifer's team working with me and my own knowing and Jennifer's stuff going in there as well. So she merged it. She could fucking merge in with the Statue of Liberty. I was like, what the fuck? I've seen some cool things, but that was pretty fucking cool. Basically, her energy was infused into the Statue of Liberty, like a Horcrux. So then we pulled her energy out of everything scattered throughout space and time that her energy was infused in. I've come across something like that before, but not the Statue of fucking Liberty. Also, that was a gift from France to America. She said she had a past life before where she was a French spy. It was connected to a curse on America. Storytime about a session, but I don't like to talk about famous people in past lives very often. Like, it makes me extremely uncomfortable because I've worked with the reincarnation of a lot of famous people, but people don't like those stories. Like, it discredits you even though you worked with them and you know it to be true. That footnote aside, this was such a fun session. So the first thing that happens when I connect to this young lady is the whole left side of her body is like kind of numb. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Actually, that wasn't the first thing. The first thing was I normally like get a drink, sit in this chair, get all ready. I couldn't get out of bed. I was like, I was like, fuck it, I'll just do my session in my bed. It was my second session of the day. I shouldn't have even been in bed. I had already been in the chair earlier in the day and then was up in my bed and I was like, fuck it. So I was like, what is this about? Like, are you sleepy, depressed? And she's like, no, I'm like the best I've ever been. But when I'm down, I'm down. With every session, well, the majority of them, I just start doing like the cleaning out, like remove the darkness, remove the contracts and curses, add the light, calibrate, and then we'll go from there. As I'm going through the process, all of a sudden, I'm like laid back on the bed. I have like a martini in my hand, and my ankles specifically are, you can't see it, crossed left over right. Martini in my hand. Very feminine. And she's like, well, I don't drink or smoke or anything. And I'm like, this feels very like 1950s. I'm by the pool. I've got a hat on. I've got like my bikini on, my sunglasses. I've got my martini. So we just table it because I'm like, whatever. And then all of a sudden it started, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I won't do that. There's something that happened with the hand that made me ask a different question, but I didn't ask if I could say that. They said they were an open book, but I'm not going to. Yes, I am. When someone's going through a sexual identity, my wrist will go like, so we start doing some more healings, and all of a sudden, my right ankle goes over my left ankle, and then my hand turns to a cigarette, and I'm a guy, and I'm not laying by the pool anymore. I've got a suit on and some shiny shoes, again from the 50s, 60s, and I'm leaning against a wall. It's very New Yorker. It is very, like, I'm like, do you smoke? Cigarette, and she doesn't smoke, or they don't smoke any cigarettes or anything. And I was like, it feels like cigars. I smoke cigars, perhaps. Cigars or cigarettes, something there. Very strong. Like, it took over my whole body. That happens sometimes. Actually, that happens all the time to me. But these, like, characters were very strong. I'm like, okay. They really want you to go look at this. And I was like, so let's go look at this life. And I felt them like, I don't really want to see. And I was like, let's do some more healing then and we'll get to it. Not wanting to look at the past life was with the female part. With the guy, it was like, let's go in and see the most impactful point we can heal. So we went in to look at the most impactful point we could heal. And all of a sudden I was like slow motion turning my head, and I fell down to the side. Like I was falling backwards. Everything was in slow motion. And on the phone, I hear this. Like her hand was patting her heart, and it wouldn't stop. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, I don't know. And it was someone was trying to give this guy CPR. Like, and I was like, that's not how you give CPR. That is someone who is like distraught and trying to bring him back to life. So I'm on the phone frozen like this for a while, because that happens to me sometimes. Until I figure out the puzzle, it has me frozen. And she's just on the other side of the phone like this. And so I start, like, I hear the name. I'm laying there like that, and she's going like this. I get this name, and I go, are you Jimmy Hoffa? And she starts going like this. I can hear it. And she's like, and then I said, the person giving the CPR, is that Josephine? And it was like, I was like, what the fuck is happening? She had no idea who either of those people were. She had no idea who Jimmy Hoffa was. At all. Or his wife, which is Josephine. One of the things I say the most is, if you have no idea about a very popular story, your soul has shut it off because of trauma. It happens, I would say 85 to 90% of the time that I've come across it. Even in myself. And like, she listens to Motown and watches Goodfellas, and she still didn't know who Jimmy Hoffa was. Seriously. Anybody who doesn't know, for any reason, this is Jimmy Hoffa. He went missing in 1975. This is his wife, Josephine. She died in 1980. Their daughter is still alive to this day. There's another rare occurrence about twin flames that I don't talk about very often either. My daughter, Dirt, is both of their twin flames in one body in this incarnation. They're both, they're masculine, they're feminine inside themselves. This is what happened with Jimmy and Josephine. They're both in this young lady. I don't give a fuck if you believe me or not. I felt it for myself. The rest of the session was pretty much spent me Googling quotes from Jimmy, talking about Jimmy. Jimmy just wanted to hear all about himself. He was just laid back with his ankles crossed. But that's another part I want to tell you. There's a few things on the client's end. They're always crossing their ankles. It drives them crazy. They have to try to uncross their ankles. And it was Jimmy trying to tell her the whole time, like, I'm here, I'm you. Like, the whole time. This was not spirit guides, guys. This was Jimmy inside of her and Sophia. Sophia was a little bit quiet. Kind of just sat back while Jimmy was like, had the stage and had the show and was like telling, like he wanted me to read quotes. He kept having me read all these quotes to her. And she has like this really strong voice of passion about like Activision and standing up for rights, and she just got in this heated debate with her dad about how important unions are and like all this shit that she's super passionate about, and she doesn't know where she knows all the information. Jimmy had a contract on his soul to always speak out for those kinds of justices. And so whether she liked it or not, she wanted to talk. I discovered that the reason that the client goes to sleep all the time to heal is so Josephine and Jimmy can hang out. So there's that. Oh, the most important part. So Josephine was there the day that Jimmy died, and she witnessed him get shot. He was taken out for speaking on the rights of mobsters, the rights of union workers, trying to right any wrong that was out there and passionate about that. He got taken out for it. So we had to remove the soul contract for that for him. And Josephine died 5 years later. I can't find the information out. It felt like she died from a heart attack, like from a broken heart. It reminded me of Johnny Cash and his wife. It was similar. And because she had kids, she had taken a vow of silence, never to speak on it. And it ate at her. So we had to heal. Able to return soul fragments and soul contracts on everything and ripple the healing and do the timeline healing. Oh, and we made sure to shine light on the whole topic. So it'll be really interesting if anything comes up for that. Especially since at least the daughter's still alive. I don't know if the son still is. But they need closure. They need it to be shown that their dad is not evil, that their dad was doing good work. And the truth about who killed him and all that stuff, it needs to come to the light. So I don't know when that'll happen, but we shine light on it as much as we could. But yeah, again, if you hold this story close to your heart and this triggers you or bothers you, I understand completely. But yeah, that's what happened in the session. It was very clear. And when I told her that I might make a series on it, my ears were red for like an hour because Jimmy likes to hear about himself. Josephine could care less. But Jimmy's a strong energy. With someone a few weeks ago during a past life thing, and the Lizzy Borden life came up. And this person was Lizzy's sister, and she was away during the time of the murders and stuff. During this past life session, I realized I was the maid, and I absolutely was having an affair with the father. I didn't know much else about that life. Usually something that I'm a part of, I don't know a lot about. So that's the first part of this. In my live last Friday, which is saved on Instagram, I went in a little bit further on the Lizzy Borden life and did some past life work of my own with my friend Kate, during which I was a little bit vulnerable with some of my real life stuff, which I have been before. I'm an open book when it comes to that kind of stuff, and how the karma from that life added up to this life. That life, I've been able to look a little bit more into the Lizzy Borden story and see exactly what's out there and who the suspects are and things like this. And here is what I believe happened according to past life healing. The father's wife at the time caught myself and the father having an affair. She was angry, so she killed her husband, and then she came after me, and I killed her. On my Instagram live, you can see that I go through, like, was I the murderer? Was the mom the murderer? What really happened? It ended up being like a self-defense thing. It was either kill or be killed. 40 times is like a lot to go in on somebody, but mixed with the anger of my lover being dead as well and her trying to kill me, kind of adds. Here are some of my real life stuff that adds up to it. And in this part, it's going to be about twin flames and oversouls, which I talk about a lot, but if you're just stumbling across this, might not know too much about, and that's totally fine. My twin flame is the same oversoul as my dad. I'm the same oversoul as my twin flame's dad. My dad in this life's ex-wife, not my mom, but his late wife, the one that's dead, is a soul fragment of my twin flames, or the same oversoul as my twin flame's ex-wife. Yeah, so there's that part. In my current life, my father is in prison for murder. He was an alcoholic, and he killed his wife because he was drunk, and he's been in prison for life since I was in 8th grade. It was a karmic situation. She had tried to kill him before, and he ended up killing her first. My current partner, which is my twin flame, had this fear in his soul of his ex-wife harming him, even though it wasn't necessarily logical. She does have therapy stuff, but that's not my business to talk about. But for the most part, there was just something in his soul that made him fearful without going too far into that. My ex-stepmom in my current life absolutely did not like me for no real reason. Just did not like that I got along with my dad and that we hung out together and he was happy when I was around. So it bothered her soul. Also, of course, my twin flame's ex-wife doesn't like me either. I mean, obvi. So again, that's my dad and my twin flame being the same oversoul, and my twin flame's ex-wife and my dad's ex-wife. So, a few things. Also, the person that's Lizzy Borden is someone that I have a soul contract with to, like, always cover for each other and protect each other throughout, like, Earth's timeline and beyond. So there's that. I've said many times before that when people say you chose this life, that they think that most people think you're up in the sky sitting at a table like, you do this role and you do that role, and that's not it at all. It's literally some karmatic thing that happens to you or a soul contract that you take and you, in one of your past lives, and you reenact it in your current life. Also, if you really want to do some healing, you really want to do some soul work, you've got to be prepared that you might be the villain. It depends on perspectives. Yeah, the mom did kill her husband and then came after me, and I self-defense, but again, 40 times. So for some people, an affair is equivalent to murder, and sometimes worse. It's perspectives. The whole point of it is it came up for me to heal. I was able to heal it, walk through it, didn't know much about the storyline. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's the truth. And when I say everything's coming to the light, I mean this kind of crap too, man. So take from it what you will. I'm just sharing my experience. If it doesn't jive with you or feel right, throw it away. That's fine. But I was able to return soul fragments. I was able to release soul contracts. So was my twin flame. We were able to do all the things, so that usually means that that's the truth. Plus, Kate channeled it, too. Yeah, that's it. Okay, goodbye!
Hello, Pilgrim. My look is inspired by a good old-fashioned Salem witch, with flames coming up the dress, as if I'm being bred at the stake. I am serving old-school witch, like literally, from like 1510.
Somebody call the fire brigade!
Paging Arthur Miller.
Abigail!
Raja.
So this is Drag Race Season 11, episode, I believe, 4. Nina West is known for being very political with her drag. She's very intelligent. She's an activist, and she knows her American history.